Just relax, smile, and act happy.
And welcome to the Mind Your Movies podcast. I'm Ryan,
I'm Shane.
and today we are talking about Companion, the 2025 movie that pretty much just released.
Yeah, just came out last weekend, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to give some of our general thoughts at first. And this is a movie that's hard to talk about without spoilers. And obviously, every episode of the show we normally do with spoilers. But we're going to do a little overview at the beginning for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, give our general thoughts, and then we'll give a spoiler warning, and we're going to get into talking about everything about the movie. So that's your fair warning uh, if you're listening. But yeah, I mean, I was very pleasantly surprised by this movie. What did you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I was expecting quite a bit. I was hoping for a lot here. Um, so I was pretty excited for it going in, and it did not let me down. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think there was some really fun moments in the movie. And there was like this cool overarching metaphor that I think worked for the most part for me. Um, yeah, I will say that yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, don't watch trailers for this movie. Go in maybe not knowing anything. We'll talk about our experiences, perhaps, and how they might be different because we saw trailers. But I would probably recommend, you know what, see how it is without knowing anything.
Yeah, and I think knowing things about it going in, it still holds up and it's still a great experience. But if you're able to have that first time experience, not knowing anything, I think that's like it's a unique thing that can only happen once. So, take advantage of it. But yeah, I thought this was great. It's really funny and very thrilling. So as a comedy slash thriller, I think it succeeded at both of them. It was very very fun. I just had a great time. I This is like what you go to the movies for, like a unique, one of a kind movie. Uh, I think anyone could watch this and enjoy it. I went on like a date night, and I think this was a great choice. I think it was awesome. So I would definitely recommend this for anyone who hasn't seen it.
Yeah, and all the acting is great in this. Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid. Sophie Thatcher just did Heretic, um, and Jack Quaid's done The Boys and
He has
and
Nova
Scream 5.
and Novocaine is coming out, I think, next month.
That's right. So, I mean,
Uh,
they both have some stuff under their belt, but also I think their acting this like really shines. It was pretty awesome.
oh yeah, Sophie Thatcher wasn't really familiar with until Heretic, and I thought she was great in that. And as really the well, whatever co-lead, I guess, one of the main characters, but probably the character I related to the most in that movie. Um, and she's awesome in this, and you're right, Jack Quaid is also awesome. But the supporting cast too. There's Lucas Gage, Megan Suri, and Harvey Guillen, and Rupert Friend. All of them give really great performances. Like their characters are very well drawn, I think, and they just like execute the performance really well. It was totally believable. All their performances, and I thought they were all great.
Yeah. And there was definitely it is a thriller movie and there's definitely a lot of thrilling moments. I will say the one thing um that is probably good to know going in is that there is some moments of gore. Of maybe more than average gore in a thriller. Not a lot of moments. I think there's like maybe two times when I was like, "Oh wow, that's a lot of blood," or something
Yeah,
similar. Um, so just good to keep that in mind. I don't think it like should deter anyone because it's not super prominent in the movie. But I was also on a date night, and my partner was looking away during a moment uh, in the movie, and might be good just to keep in mind if you're going in blind.
that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't bring your little kid to see this. It's rated R.
Yeah. Also, well, weird movie to bring a
Well,
kid to, I would say in general.
very yeah. Definitely don't bring a kid in. No, no. This is a movie for adults, but
Yeah.
adults will have a very good time, and you know what, teenagers too. Well, if I was when I was like 15, I think I probably still would have loved this movie.
Yeah. Also, this movie's an hour and 37 minutes, and I think it's paced very well. Uh, I mean, I think I'm a big fan of that 90-minute movie, and I'll say this is one where I think that really shines. I think that um, I wouldn't know if I'd really care to see a 2 or 2.5 hour version of this. I don't know. I would try
It
it,
would be
but yeah, it
it
would
would
kind
be
of drag, I
different.
think.
I think it
Hmm.
would just be, I think thrillers in general usually benefit from a fast pace and sort of keeping things going. And this movie definitely does that.
Yeah.
Um, so I think if it was expanded, it would have to turn into sort of a different genre, maybe.
Yeah. Kind of like Zodiac, I feel like is a good thriller that's actually really that's long because of how they kind of split stuff up in that movie.
Yeah.
Even
But
like
Zodiac is
perspectives.
almost sort of like a drama with some thriller scenes. It's more of like the
Yeah.
investigation and stuff. You know what I mean? Like that. I feel like Zodiac is very different than this in a way.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But all right. Well,
Um,
I guess is
yeah.
that good for sort of general thoughts? I mean, we'd highly recommend it. See, I would highly recommend it at least.
Yeah, I think I would too. And I think this is again, it's kind of hard to talk without spoilers. I know we haven't really told you anything at the movie yet, but
That's
I
the
think we're
point.
kind of hoping that yeah, like turn this off at this point and go and watch the movie if you haven't seen it yet. We encourage that I
Yeah.
think for pretty much all of our episodes, but particularly for this one just because we do I think pretty strongly recommend it and it's like I think I would
Yeah.
have preferred not having any spoilers going in probably.
Yeah. And it's brand new. Like people there it's possible people haven't seen it yet and they'll see this episode and whatever, you know. So it's still in theaters as we're recording. Should we give our ratings now or should we wait till the end?
That's a good question. We might as well, I guess, give them now.
Why don't we give them now and then we'll
Yeah, I
do
mean, this is
spoilers?
also good to know. This is 2 days after release, I think. Maybe
Well, yeah.
three.
Yeah, yeah. Like it came whatever. We're recording this on Sunday, but it's the episode will come out Thursday.
Yeah,
So it'll be
um,
like almost a week after once people hear this.
yeah. But so we're recording it very early though. But I'll still throw out the average ratings maybe before we throw out our ratings. Um, so again, it's really early, but this has 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, 91% audience score on there, with 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb and 3.6 out of 5 on Letterboxd, bringing it to a very high average of 8.275 out of 10. So
Wow.
very, very strong. What did you give it, Shane?
I gave it 4.5 out of 5. I loved it. I thought it was funny and thrilling and I had a great time. I'm kind of surprised that it's so well received, but I'm happy about it. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I am also kind of surprised that it's so highly well received, and I wonder how that might change over the next even like weeks until this comes out. So I'm curious, you watching this today, this might be slightly different. But and I give it 3.5 out of 5. So I think we're both kind of sandwiching the average right between us. So um, again, I really enjoyed this movie and would strongly recommend it. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I think we've given enough warnings. If you have not seen the movie, get the hell out of here. Go buy a ticket. Go to the movies. Support the movies. Come on, get out of here. Go scram, scram. Um,
And for the
if
rest of you,
for the
time to
rest of
wake
you,
up.
please don't. Yeah, time to wake up. Yeah, don't scram. Please stay. So yeah, time to get into spoiler talk. Final
Yeah.
warning. I mean, she's a fucking robot.
Yeah. 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 She's a
Which
robot.
so the I think we both knew that going in because of the
Yes.
trailers that we happened to see. But yeah, I mean, really, when you're watching the movie, the first maybe 20 to 20-ish minutes, they don't tell you that at all. Like you can tell something is off, and since I knew that she was a robot, I could tell what was going on. But if I hadn't known that, I would have just been like, everyone's acting a little bit weird. Like, what's up with this? Um, when I was watching it, it was almost like the experience of rewatching it, where you're like, oh, that now this makes sense, that makes sense because of the context. So I think this movie will hold up on rewatches for that reason.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think it's one of the reasons why I think I strongly would recommend like trying to go into it without knowing anything, like for all those people we just scrammed away, or maybe you're coming back now. But um, like I also went into it having seen both trailers and maybe we can talk about both those trailers after we talk more about the movie and kind of how they might impact your viewing experience. But I think I didn't really mind knowing the information, but I think in hindsight, I mean, I don't particularly like watching trailers anyways, and I think this uh, um I just have like I have questions on why they chose to include the vastly different perspective from the first trailer to this or the teaser to the second trailer.
Yeah.
Um, because they both give like vastly different perspectives that I feel like together kind of could be put together in your brain to fill in a lot of gaps in or like kind of reveal a lot of the twists that come up. But
Yeah. I think it's kind of a hard movie to market in some ways. Like, I don't know. I don't know. They did good sort of building the mystery before the trailer came out.
yeah,
Um, but I don't know how much you can maintain that. Like, because otherwise, what do you like? What is the movie about? I guess it's a bunch of people at a cabin, and then you you show that some horror thriller type shit went down, but you don't explain why. I guess I think it's possible to market it better. But anyway, we don't have to
yeah,
talk about the marketing of the whole movie the whole time because I really don't think it made that big of a difference to me. Like I still love the movie, so
yeah. Yeah, and I agree. There's probably a better way to do it, but also, I mean, it's hard. And my partner, who I went to the movie with, said the same thing. She said, you know, it's like would I have wanted to have seen it if I didn't see that trailer, right? And that's a good question. I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, I wonder what motivates people to see this movie, if not one of those two trailers, if not both, right? And so,
yeah, yep. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's some background on it. It's written and directed by Drew Hancock, and this is his first feature film, and very impressive debut. Just, I mean, as a writer and a director, I think the script is really smart and funny. To me, the comedy didn't undercut anything. It just made, I think the tone was managed really, really well, especially for a first time director. Um, and once people start getting killed and all that, I love a movie where I can just root for someone to viciously kill a bunch of bad guys.
oh
I think
yeah,
of the Coralie Farjah movie Revenge. I think of Taken. Things like that, where you're like, okay, all the other people are evil to the point where whatever happens to them, I don't feel bad. And I feel bad for our main character to just fuck them up. And it's just awesome. It's just what it's very cathartic. It's just a cathartic experience. I don't know. Maybe I need to go to therapy. Who knows? But I feel like it's just one of the more fun experiences at the theater. Like, and
yeah.
when Kat gets stabbed, I was cackling. I just thought it was awesome. I was like, that's what you get.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think when you're able to root for people to get killed in a, I mean, this is kind of a horror, right? It's thriller horror in a way because of the deaths and because of the gore, perhaps. But and when you're able to root for people in those, it's like, you know, that's just enjoyable, right? Who
Yeah,
doesn't want to see who doesn't want to see that? I guess I don't know, some people, but
yeah,
you're probably going to this movie because you know that it's going to be kind of fucked up.
yeah. And like there are plenty of movies that explore like revenge and how revenge is two-sided and it doesn't work out and all that shit.
Ah,
Exactly. Come on. Give me the good stuff. But there's something viscerally like exciting about like a nice revenge movie. And yeah, this one has like great themes also, like beyond just the revenge of like why you want her to get the revenge and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I just thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think one thing that I think also helps a little bit with the pacing of the movie uh, is also that there's a lot of times when it reveals more information to you, right? Like a lot of times that I don't even know if they're really all twists, but there's a lot of times where like suddenly you're like, oh, okay, there's a new thing, right?
Yeah,
I'm thinking of like when Patrick's revealed to be a robot, right? Also,
yeah,
and honestly, like even just when the whole plot is revealed, or the plot against Iris is revealed, right? And
mm,
like that's really the turning point of the movie, in my opinion. Like going in knowing that she's a robot already means that that's really like the next twist that you learn. And for me, that was like a really exciting moment to the movie to be like, whoa, I did not expect the movie to go that way.
yeah,
So
yeah. The movie is constantly keeping you on your toes kind of with those kind of things. And even like some things I did expect, like I kind of suspected that Patrick was a robot, and
Mhm.
like the the wine opener, like they showed us that two times before it comes to play at the end of the movie. So I figured it was going to come into play in a death scene, and it was very satisfying. So even the things that I sort of predicted, I guess, or expected, I still was satisfied and enjoyed it. It didn't take away from the experience at all.
Yeah, I would agree. I think like at the end too, when she is forced to shoot herself in the head, and then like the guys come and they're like, "Oh, don't worry, like we'll get her rebooted." Like the the head's really just for whatever.
The Wi-Fi connection and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I like when she was like dead, it was pretty obvious that like she was gonna be coming back, right? Like that was not the end of her story, at least to me. And it was still exciting to see that happen, which was cool.
Yeah, there is always that sort of trope in these type of movies where the robot gets like rebooted to factory settings, and that happens to if that happens to like the main character, like it's like them dying and it's all sad and stuff like that. And they avoided that, so that was nice.
Yeah,
Even though they do that to Patrick, but we don't really care about Patrick as much. Like he's kind of just the himbo on the side.
yeah. Also,
But
he's rebooted really early in, like
yeah,
before you really can care about him, and
yeah, you. I mean, you do care about him like uh yeah, that the relationship with Patrick and Eli was interesting too.
yeah.
But I think I had sympathy for him. I was kind of hoping that him and Iris were gonna team up.
Ah,
That
yeah,
was
that would
my
have been
thought.
awesome.
Yes, because that was my thought was like he knows he's a robot and he's gonna see her doing this and he's gonna like want to help her out. But that is not the direction that it went, which honestly was I think the direction it went was better than what I was thinking it might have happened.
Yeah. I also had that thought though when he's like sitting there holding Will? Is it Will? His
Eli?
partner?
Eli?
Eli, yeah, yeah. He's holding Eli and he's and Jack Quaid and his accomplice essentially. They're chatting and deciding what to do and Patrick's just holding Eli. And I was like, it would be awesome if he just like turned on them uh, and tried to help Iris. But I'm also glad I'm also excited to see that it didn't go that way and what came out of that. Um,
Yeah.
but I gotta say, when they're in the woods and they're doing that conversation, Eli and Patrick are having that conversation, and it's revealed that they really do love each other or whatever. I was like, someone's about to die. Like one of these two is dying in like 10 seconds. Like this
Yeah, that's fair.
is just as bad as say you're going to retirement, like my last job.
Yeah, that is definitely a trope for sure. Um, I maybe because there's so few characters, I was thinking that he was gonna make it more to the end.
Mm,
So I actually didn't suspect that, but anyway. Yeah, but you're right. That is such a common thing. As soon as you see someone, oh, I have a wife back home. Oh, you're dead.
yeah.
I'm waiting. My daughter's gonna be born in a few weeks. You're dead.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
that's always what happens in these movies.
Not necessarily like, and I didn't really mind expecting that one of them was about to die, but I mean, tropes are tropes because they work, right? Like, but yeah, that was something I
Yeah.
identified, and I was like, sad.
Yeah. I do think just while we're talking about the Eli and Patrick relationship in the movie, I think this is kind of like an interesting depiction of like a gay relationship. It's very just treated as normal and not like them being gay has nothing to do with the plot or actually anything. It has no impact at all. And I think that's a good sign of where like how far we've come as a society in a lot of ways where
Yeah.
it is like just not a big deal. It's like, oh yeah, they're just a gay couple, whatever. And it doesn't come into play.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the movie could have very well been the same if they were a straight couple and or whatever
Yeah.
you call a straight couple that is one of them is a robot, right? But
Yeah. That's just a
um,
straight robot couple.
and I think that's awesome. Very nice to see that like the queer representation is not necessarily like a token queer or something like that, right? It is just queer people in a movie,
Yeah.
which is cool.
And it's interesting that I think gender is obviously like an important part of the movie, but it is interesting that the two people with robot companions are men. Like
Mm.
women don't, I don't know. I don't know. They can make a companion too and expand on the universe and what it's like. But I mean, I wonder how, you know, what percentage of people who own a companion robot would be men versus women. Like it seems like it would probably be way more men, I assume.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but it's interesting the way the cat character is also very interesting in the way that she talks. She's kind of resentful of Iris, and she
Hmm.
says she makes her feel replaceable. But I think that's sort of a sign of how Cat views herself, I guess, as like nothing more than a sex robot, kind of. Like, like if you, I don't know, like she doesn't view herself as anything better than that. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
that's a kind of all she's doing. That's the way Sergey treats her also. And obviously
Right.
she's doing that because she has ulterior motives. But like that is sort of how women are expected to act, sort of, or like in like a misogynistic traditional way. It's like, oh, this is the ideal woman, like is a companion robot who can't think for herself and just does whatever the man says and stuff like that.
Yeah, the
Um,
companion robots here do the cleaning, they do the cooking, they do the sex, they do like just whatever it is that the companion's owner wants them to do, they do. And you're I think you're totally right that it's supposed to be analogous to like that misogynistic ideal relationship, right?
Yeah. But I mean, they don't complain. They don't have any opinions of their
Right.
own. They're literally an object, right? So it's sort of that, yeah, exactly. So that's clearly the sort of the biggest theme in the movie. And I think uh it like covers that pretty well. And then we're just on her side, and then we get to see her kill a bunch of people that are bad, which is fun.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think that there's this there's these like subtle clues that they're in this this like I think if you didn't know she was a robot, there would still be these subtle clues that they're in this like abusive relationship early on, where at one point like when they're going uh oh well they just have sex, right? And she's like trying to talk to him and he's just laying down and he literally just goes, Iris, go to sleep. And like it's like yeah, just like shut her up after you're done, right? Like whatever. But then also he says like what's the weather, and she says it in like the robotic tone or whatever, and then he says like that never gets old. And there's like this idea that he's like just objectifying her, right? Because she is a robot, we know. But um yeah, there's all these like subtle clues, I think, that I think work to build the idea that Jack Quaid's character is like a shitty romantic partner either way.
Right.
Um, but
Yeah.
yeah. And then at the end, I will say the ending, I think goes a little too hard on the like just explicitly stating the metaphor in a way where like she says, uh, yeah, you can't control me anymore or something like that. Your days of controlling me are over. And I get that it's like a dramatic line or whatever, but it also felt like just kind of throwing out all the subtlety to the metaphor. Not that it was a very subtle metaphor, but like I feel like anytime you just explicitly say it, I feel less. I'm like, come on,
Yeah. I get that. It didn't bother me. I feel like this is
Yeah,
not a subtle movie.
true.
Like it's very in your face. It's like, and that's just what it's going for. So it didn't bother me. But
Yeah.
yeah, there is like, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, but maybe one thing that happens early on, like I feel like they set up the rules of the universe really well. Like they explain how secluded they are so that all the shit can go down. And like they do it in ways that are like, I see what you're doing here, but I also like what you're doing here. Like I wish other movies would maybe explain some of these things too, so that I'm not like, where are the police? Like, where are they? You know, it's like, oh yeah, we had to go 17 miles down the road to get to the, and you own all the land around the lake and all that type of stuff. When that happened, I thought there was going to be a kill like in the center of the lake, and then that's how they
Ah,
explain that no one sees it. You know, that's what I was thinking.
that would have been
But
interesting.
but also when Sergey tries to attack her and
Hmm.
she defends herself and kills him, like the way they tell us that is very interesting. It's not like it sort of takes away the shock of the scene because he's sort of forcing himself on her. And then we cut back to the house and we see Iris walk in with covered in blood. And then she's sort of recounting what happened. But we don't actually see it live. So I don't know. It was just an interesting way to do that because it sort of took away the shock value of it and just showed us like what happened, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Even when she's walking, you like we have this like this shot where she's walking up to everyone talking in like the living room, whatever. And we don't see her walking up. We do like we start to see the knife come into frame and she's holding the knife and we see her hand and it's all bloodied. And then I think it's Eli that's talking and he stops talking when he sees her and it's like, oh my God, or whatever, right? And even like the slowly revealing the hand and the knife being bloodied, before showing us her covered in blood, which is what we see next. Even that's like still easing you into seeing this and easing you into that reveal and not necessarily just like, yeah, like you said, it gets rid of that shock almost completely, um, which I think is interesting. And, I wonder what the intentionality was there. Like, I think it worked and I enjoyed that, but I'm not sure like what the rationale was for that, even though I do think it worked. But
Yeah, I don't know. Because if it had happened just in chronological order, I feel like there would have been more maybe excitement or like suspense, like what's she gonna do? What
yeah,
like it would have been more emotionally like affecting, but they sort of take that away. I wonder if they didn't want too much of that because there is a lot of other crazy shit that happens like later on in the movie. I wonder if they didn't want that to like overtake everything. I don't know. It's kind of or maybe I don't know.
yeah, it's interesting. It's like before it's revealed that um that the two characters, Jack Quaid's character and I keep forgetting her name, but
Megan Sori plays Kat.
Kat.
Yeah.
And while I'm at it, Jack Quaid character is Josh.
Yep.
So while Josh and Kat, well, before it's revealed that they have this plot, it almost feels like they want it to be kind of a tame. They don't want that excitement in the movie yet, right? And so that is kind of part of why that feels like the turning point of the movie for me. Um, which like I wonder how that would have felt if you did get to see her stab him in like chronological order, and there was that like spike in excitement. Then I don't know if that reveal would have felt like the turning point for me. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of shit that goes down. I just think,
Yeah,
yeah, it's so well paced and everything. Like, it's
yeah,
really really good. And the way they slowly dole out the information about the technology too is
yeah.
really cool. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I mean, should we go through all the things that happen? I don't know that we necessarily need to,
Nah,
but um, yeah,
I will say, I mean, I think one other thing that we haven't talked too much about that we've mentioned is that the movie's pretty funny, and I think
yes,
maybe my favorite moment of this is when he's like reprogramming Patrick, and he's like, when Josh is reprogramming Patrick, and he's setting up his face or whatever, and then we get to see what do they call that? They're like their meeting scene or whatever,
yeah,
and we see that, but it's him and Patrick instead, and
yeah,
that scene's just really funny too because they're doing the dance and everything, and
yes.
so that was hilarious. I think that might have been my favorite bit in the movie.
Yeah, this movie is like hilarious. Like I was
Yeah,
laughing throughout. And when it is like it is thrilling also, but when a lot of times the people get killed, I was also like having fun and enjoying their deaths. But when it was just like a great great tone for just a fun time at the movies.
Yeah.
And yeah, the comedy doesn't like step on anything. I don't, it's hard to describe, like, but the tone just feels so perfect where somehow they balance the comedy and the thrills really, really well. And a movie I think of is like Get Out, another movie where I think it has this crazy premise and I don't know. I feel this and Get Out feel similar to me, and that's pretty high praise because Get Out's a great movie. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think they are similar in the way that they're using sort of a horror thriller plot as a metaphor, and also the use of comedy. I think this one's a little more comedic than Get Out. Um,
Yeah, I would agree, I think.
yeah, and Get Out does have a pretty incredible ending. This ending is pretty awesome too. It's pretty.
Yeah.
I kind of loved the very end. It was very cathartic and just I was happy for actors.
Yeah, she's become herself by removing the burnt hand and everything.
Yeah,
And she's kind of gained that independence and freedom uh from her terrible abusive partner. And
yeah,
obviously, he's kind of also a scumbag for other reasons, but
yeah, yeah.
um
Um,
yeah, I enjoyed the ending quite a bit. That was cool.
yeah, nice. But yeah, it's quite kind of like Get Out meets Ex Machina.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but more the
Um
tone of Get Out with the idea of Ex Machina.
yeah, but then the humor is kind of, yeah, definitely more humorous than Get Out, but I definitely see what you're saying there.
Yeah.
Um, Also,
Um,
the movie's very clever, I think, in the fact, like there's one point when she's about to talk to the cop, and she changes her language setting, and at
yeah.
first I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. Like, I guess she wants him to think that, like, she's a lost tourist or something, but in
Mhm.
reality she did it because she can't lie, and I had forgotten that. And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of times where the movie just feels very clever
Yeah.
playing with the rules that it sets up, and I thought that a lot of times that worked really well for me.
Yeah, I love that. I think the way they set up the rules in the universe and then they play with them and they use them to their biggest potential is very fun, and yeah, it is very clever.
Yeah. And then there's so the Patrick, like, approaching the cop and, like, just pummeling his face in, and then throwing him in the trunk and everything. And then he comes back, and that's kind of the moment that Josh and Kat kind of realize, or mostly Josh. I think Kat was already kind of against all this, but like Josh is realizing just how much he's like, not like you can really go back from the Eli dying, but like now you're like a cop is dead. Like, you, what do you do now, right?
Yeah,
And
you're in deep shit.
yeah. And so again, and I guess like that also kind of felt like another turning point in the movie, but like I keep saying that it's just like this movie is so well paced that like everything felt like it just kept coming and coming, and so
Yeah.
it was a very enjoyable experience.
Yeah. 100%. And they're very it very Patrick's strength and ruthlessness is like pretty scary, and it's a very good threat for Iris where we're like, oh shit, this is like a real threat. It's not because ultimately like Kat is on Xanax and she's drinking and she's just a shit show, and Jack's kind of a pussy. So it's nice to have like a good villain who's like, oh, this robot, like when the robot is programmed this way, that's fucking scary.
Yeah,
Um, but also it kind of shows like that she Iris also has that potential if when you mess with her programming.
yeah.
Um, but
And
yeah,
yeah, I
very
mean,
cool.
I think it really works too, the fact that like Josh doesn't have any he doesn't really have any power, right? He just has power by controlling other people. And that's kind of his whole character in this. He's just a like a you know, that's what he does. He just manipulates and controls the two robots in the movie. And Cat in a
Hmm.
way too. But
Well, Kat manipulates and can well, I don't know if she controls, but she manipulates Sergey also.
yeah.
Like her whole thing is manipulation and lying and all that. So yeah, the characters are really scumbags that they're doing all this. They're killing. Well, they're killing a guy to steal his money. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, no sympathy for you anymore. But I think there is like enough in the movie, especially at the end. Jack sort of explains like, oh, the world is it's not good for me, blah blah blah. So they give enough for
Yeah.
them to have a motivation to do it, but not. But we're still like, well, yeah, that doesn't justify what you're doing. So I hope you get a wine opener to the forehead. Oh yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, he kind of goes off in like a like he has like that kind of is that like a is that incel, right? When he's like I don't really know what that means necessarily, but he
Well,
goes off
in
and it's like the world, the world's like like nothing ever works out for me or people like me or something. And it's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like you're a
yeah.
scumbag.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely incel aspect to his character for sure. I mean, though that would be the type of person that would end up with a companion robot, probably, right? I mean, just logically, if you need one, you're then right. But I mean, incel literally means involuntarily celibate. That's what it
Yeah.
stands for, right? So I mean, kind of makes sense. But yeah, I mean, also this movie, one of the producers is Zach Kreger, and it's the same production company who made Barbarian. And I
Yeah.
think that is kind of instructive in that this and Barbarian feels similar too.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, pretty awesome movie.
Also funny, just speaking of that real quick, is in the advertising for this movie, it's like something like from the twisted minds behind Barbarian and New Line Cinema, the company that brought you the Notebook or whatever, right? And every time I saw that, I was always like, yeah, but also like New Line Cinema is known because of Nightmare on Elm Street. Like it is like it's not like when I think of New Line Cinema, I'm thinking of the Notebook, like
Yeah. Well, that's fun. I think it's just a joke on the
yeah,
on the
and
thing.
it's
Yeah.
funny and it works. But every
Yeah.
time I saw that, I was like, I,
Yeah. One thing, okay, this is unrelated to the movie. We can just ramble now. It's our podcast. We can do what we want. The new that Hard Eyes movie that's being produced by the production company that made the new Scream movies,
yeah,
which is they're scumbags over there. I don't like them. But in the trailer for Hard Eyes, it says from the producers who brought you Scream, and
yeah, not Scream 5.
because they called Scream 5 just Scream, they're allowed to say that. And I'm like, that is fucking sneaky. Like
Yeah,
you scumbags are really, really sneaky because it sounds like you guys made the original Scream, but you didn't. You made the new ones.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
So
I saw that too, and I was like, boo.
those people that I'm like evil people.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
anyway, do you have anything else you wanted to say about Companion?
Let's see. Oh, I the only other note that I really have down, again, we saw this in theaters. It's hard to take notes in theaters. And actually, when I saw this, I didn't even know if this is what we were gonna do the episode on. So kind of
Yeah,
retroactive notes here. But I would say one thing is the cinematography felt fine, but it's not like in like for Jordan Peele's movies, like Get Out, particularly too. But I feel like the cinematography sometimes can like really wow you, right? Like in Jordan Peele's movies. And I feel like in this, it's not like I ever had a problem with the cinematography. I never thought there was anything wrong with it. But I also never felt that like wow factor of certain movies that are in like a similar vein, like what you said with Get Out too. But I don't know if you
yeah,
felt similar.
yeah, I could see that. It's not like incredible cinematography. But I think the other parts of the movie are so strong that if the cinematography is solid, which I think it is,
Yeah.
there are some nice shots of like the woods. There's that shot of her Iris on the like a mountaintop, like
Yeah.
overlooking the lake. That's nice. There's a shot of the house like when they're all dancing. Um,
Yeah. From the
Also
outside.
incredible cut when they're dancing and then it cuts to Josh finishing in having sex. That was incredible and just hilarious.
If not a little jarring indeed.
Extremely jarring.
Crazy.
Yeah, that was
um
hilarious.
but yeah, and I agree. I think that not having necessarily like the most like wow factor cinematography isn't a bad thing, right? It's I mean the movie works fine, and the movie works great. without that. But yeah, I think watching it, I I think some of the parallels with things like Get Out that come up. I think I'd be interested to see what Drew Hancock does with like maybe a little more stylistic cinematography in the future. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
Not that
I
everyone
see what
has
you
to.
mean. Yeah, I think Get Out, like going, like thinking back on it, like there are those shots. I mean, not we're not trying to spoil it. I don't want to spoil Get Out if people haven't seen it, but there are some like cool shots of otherworldly kind of things. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's the I don't know. Yeah,
I
trying to be
got you.
vague. But a lot of the cinematography in Get Out is I don't know. It's not like doesn't blow me away. It's not the Tree of Life. It's not like
Yeah,
Barry Lyndon. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't think every movie necessarily has to be like movies have different strengths, and I think in this one, the writing and the story, the comedy, the acting, I think those are all real strengths, and the cinematography helps it. And I do wonder if like on a rewatch, like we would notice some things of the cinematography. It's just that it doesn't stand out on a first viewing.
yeah, which is fair. Yeah,
But
totally.
but yeah. All right. I mean, I don't know that I have that much else to say.
No, just yeah, definitely a strong January movie.
Oh yeah, pretty
Awesome.
incredible for a January release. Um, yeah. All right,
Yeah.
2025 off to a pretty good start.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't necessarily about Companion, but so far 2025, uh this is the top of my list. I've seen this. I've seen Presence, The Damned, Wolfman, and One of Them Days. And top of the list is between this and One of Them Days, but yeah, I think it goes to this probably.
Nice. Hell yeah,
Strong start to
2025.
the year.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. And then we've got some good stuff coming out soon too. We got The Monkey, we uh got a lot of cool stuff. Sinners, Mickey 17.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this year is going to be good. There's the new Paul Thomas Anderson, which is exciting. Whenever that comes out, whatever that's going to be called. But yeah. So the plan next week we have episode 11, which is movies about magic movies, I guess we call them. And we're doing Wizards, the Ralph Bakshi movie, and Ponyo, the Hayao Miyazaki movie. Um, and for episode 11.5, I think we might not do a movie. It might be our first episode where we don't cover a particular movie, and we might just do some Oscar predictions. So that episode is going to come out a couple weeks before the Oscars. It'll give us some time to catch up on some stuff, and we'll do our predictions. And then the episode after that, we will probably cover the monkey, and we'll probably do our Oscar recap, and we'll see who got the most correct. We'll see what happens. We can react to what happened on the big night, the Super Bowl of movies.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Not that the Oscars really matter that much, but they're fun. I like watching them. It's, if you like movies, you got to watch them, I guess, right? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are issues with the Oscars in general, and we don't have to love them, but if it's there, you might as well enjoy it.
I think you got to just take it as it is. Like
Yeah.
when I've seen people online, because Amelia Perez is not a good movie, really, and it's not very good representation of trans people from what I've heard from trans people on the internet. And I saw the TV Glow is actually directed by a trans person and is like a better representation of that. And I've seen comments like that, and I'm like, did you watch I Saw the TV Glow? That is not an Oscar movie at all.
Right.
Like historically, the Oscars have never rewarded like weird, surreal, like art house stuff like that. Like that just never happens. Like it would be like if in 1977 you're like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
Star Wars is nominated for Best Picture, but Eraserhead isn't. It's like yeah, obviously Eraserhead's not getting nominated for Best Picture. Are you crazy?
Right.
But so if you don't expect the Oscars to reflect your personal taste, and you just take it for what it is, I think it can be enjoyed.
Yeah. And I mean, like, also, it does call out good movies too. It's not just you're gonna see it, like it's not just throwing Amelia Perez at you 14 times.
Oh, wait.
Wait, crap. But I mean, there's some good stuff out there, and it's always good to get a spotlight on good stuff. So
Yeah,
um,
I think it'll be fun to we can set up maybe we can do it for the uh like different point levels for each thing. Like if we get best picture right, it's worth more
ah,
points than if you get best animated short, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, that would
I
be
think
interesting.
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, we'll have a little ranking system, and you guys can vote on who's going to win here.
That'd be fun. Because who you people can take sides, pick who they
Yeah.
think is gonna get the most correct. I like this idea. I think this will be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Um, all right, cool.
Totally.
Well, I guess that's that. This was our companion episode. Thank you for listening, everybody. Give us a follow on social media. Go to our letterbox, mind your movies. From there, you can go to our Blue Sky, our Instagram, and all of our YouTube and all of our podcast locations. And you can also find our personal letterboxed accounts if you want to follow us and track what we're watching, like a weird stalker freak. Or just like a normal person who wants to follow people on the letterbox, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that
If
I'm
you're
calling
like
every,
if you're screenshotting all of our reviews and posting them elsewhere on the internet, and then like you print them out and put them on your wall, that's kind of weird. Probably don't do
that would
that.
be weird. You start putting string between the
Yeah,
reviews. You're like, the
yeah.
Disney
Ryan
is
talks
paying
about
these
Frogman all the
guys.
time.
This guy's been bought by Big Frog Man.
Yeah, but but yeah, throw a like on one of our reviews. Leave a comment. As long as you're not stringing them on your stringing them up on your Jesus Christ, stringing them up on your wall. We support that type of connecting with us for sure.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, I guess that's that.
All right, everyone. Uh,
Bye.
go to sleep.